for Davido, seeing it start that level, for Nigeria, it inspires hope, it inspires faith. Maybe it's time to start touring Nigeria again and connecting with the fans. I just like to shit on Nigerian fans. Oh, you guys cannot sell out the stadium. If you give Nigerian fans the opportunity, they will show you just how much they love you. And now, if you give them a venue, they will show up. So Davido is on a Nigerian tour, Nigerian Five Alive tour. It's a good time to be a Nigerian Afrobeat fan. Things like this don't happen often, sadly. There was a time when we used to have tours like this across the country. There was a time when the average fan could see the biggest stars in the country perform in some really nice venues. You know, your Two-Face, your P-Squares, Idris Abdul Karim, Tony Tetula. You know, the biggest stars, you get to see them perform in universities, in different venues across the country. And this was sponsored by multinational big corporations back in the day, but in the last 10 years that has not been the case. You maybe get to wait to December to see the biggest guys perform, and even then you just have to take what you see. People show up at 2 a.m., give you half-ass performances, feels like they were forced to be there. Yeah, so it's good to see a megastar like Davido touring Nigeria, 6 geopolitical zones. He performed in the Gospel Akwa Stadium in Akwa Ibom, sold out, massive crowd. I wasn't there, what a shame. I was meant to be there, got my tickets and all, but I just wasn't able to make it. And massive show, perform in Yola, Adamawa. When was the last time we saw a big star, a Nigerian superstar, perform in the core north, anywhere outside Abuja, let alone Adamawa, you know? And perform in Enugu, massive crowd. Then most recently in Ibadan, where I was, and it was, trust me, it was one hell of an experience. It was just amazing. So now it feels like we're in a full circle moment. It feels like we're back at that point where some stars, because it's not like an industry-wide movement yet, but some stars are beginning to say, okay, maybe it's time to come back home. Maybe it's time to start touring Nigeria again and connecting with the fans. And this year we've seen Lona, a big, massive shout out to Lona. I did 25 states, 26 shows across 25 states. I think that is remarkable. You know, in a country where the challenges for touring is almost unsurmountable. It's just like a huge mountain, from logistical to financial, security, infrastructure. There's a lot of issues, right? And for you to want to tour Nigeria at that scale, you need to want to do it. There needs to be this willingness to want to do it. And Lona showed that willingness. We've seen Odumodu Black tour 8 universities across the country as well, which was remarkable. The tour did very well, amazing. And now Davido 6 states. So I think it's a full circle moment. I think people are beginning to come back home, you know, want to connect with the local audience more. And it's just for us to figure out, how do we get this done on a bigger scale? How do we make this go from 6 states to 20 states to 30 states and possibly across the country, even if we have to recognize the current security challenges we have in some parts of the country. So Davido's Five Alive tour, what does it mean for Afrobeat? If you ask me, I would say it's a beginning of something that can be really amazing. It's nothing new. It's happened before. Stars have done this in the past, but we're seeing someone at this level bring his social currency on the table and try to re-energize or breathe life into Nigerian touring circuit. Something we've not had in the past. Something we've not had in the last 10 years. Is Afrobeat to do what happened? Most of our A-list stars, even B-list stars, even like just emerging artists, they favor touring abroad and touring Nigeria. There's more money abroad. You could charge more there. There's just essentially more money to be made, and they just don't mind leaving whatever they can make in Nigeria on the table. So for Davido and for Afrobeat, I think seeing it start at that level, tour Nigeria, it inspires hope, it inspires faith, and it just gives an idea that perhaps we can inspire, or we can command the private equity needed to restructure or revitalize Nigerian touring circuit. I was in Ibadan, and trust me, that was the biggest crowd I've ever seen. I've never been to a stadium concert in Nigeria before, and that was my first time in a stadium concert, and it was packed full. He came on stage and people were shouting, people were losing their minds. There was just a lot of emotion. Some people were crying, some people were cheering. It's just really remarkable. 3 hours set. The feeling, for me, it's just the feeling. It's the emotion you get to share with the people in that space. This is just beyond the concert. This is just beyond music. This is people who are connecting with him on a deeper level. For some people, that might be their only Davido concert, and for them to share that space with him, for them to have that sort of proximity, that sort of communion with him at that time is an experience they will never forget. And this is an experience that a lot of fans are no longer used to in Nigerian music. Sadly, a lot of fans are no longer used to having to experience what it means like to have your favorite artist perform the song for you live. And that's what it is. And we need more artists to be able to give fans this experience. I like to say something, right? I like to say, if you give Nigerian fans the opportunity, they're going to show you just how much they love you. Artists like to shit on Nigerian fans. Oh, you guys cannot sell out the stadium. You guys are not this. You guys are not that. Because there's no money, given the situation of our economy. But if you give Nigerian fans the opportunity, they will show you just how much they love you. We'll show it on social media. And now, if you give them a venue, they will show up in their numbers if the tickets are within, the range they can afford. So that's what I think it means for Afrobeat. It could be a new dawn. It could be a new dawn. So when Davido posted about this tour on his social media page, it said something that struck me. He said, to my peers, it's time to come back home and give back. Now that's a key word, come back home and give back. Because when you think about it, right, touring Nigeria, what he's doing is not for profit. It's not to make money. He's going to make money abroad because we cannot pay the going rate for a ticket here. It's the truth. If you're going to charge what the ticket prices should actually be, you're going to be charging each person as high as 100,000 naira, 150,000 naira. So it's about giving back. It's about coming to connect with your people, because at the end of the day, these are the people whose contribution puts you in the position you are right now. So it's about giving back. And the question is, would they listen to him? Would Davido's peers, would Davido contemporaries, would these stars listen to him? I don't know, but this is what I know and this is what I think. I think we all have a role to play. The artists, they have a role to play, and their role is to come, show the willingness to get this done. Without that willingness, it will never happen. Luna showed the willingness to tour Nigeria, and that willingness created a means for him to find the opportunities and the possibilities of getting it done, in spite of the insurmountable challenges. The willingness that I want to do this, I want to tour as many states as possible in Nigeria, meant that he found a way to get it done. It was not easy. I spoke to his people, Mide, and what they said about the tour, the challenges, having to commute through road a lot. It's not easy, but it's that willingness, that desire to want to do it. And that's what Davido has. Davido has that desire, what we'll call that cultural commitment to want to give back and bring his tour to Nigeria. Because let's face it, what joy do you have as a Nigerian artist? You drop an album and you're touring the world. You've toured North America, you've toured Europe, some countries in Asia, South America, and you wait till December to come and perform in Nigeria. I mean, what joy is that? What joy is that? It doesn't just speak well, if you ask me. So you have to have this cultural commitment, and that's what Davido is showing. Cultural commitment, the desire to want to make Nigeria and Nigerians be a part of his story, a part of his success story. So there's number one, that cultural commitment, that willingness to want to do it. And when there's that willingness, that's when we can now ask the government to, okay, it's time for you to do your job. It's time for the private sector to also help out. So if you've been following this Davido's Fight for Life Nigerian tour, is sponsored by a lot of multinationals, corporations, because that's the people who's going to drop the equity to make it happen. Now, the thing is, for smaller artists, they necessarily don't have the social currency, the capacity to command the private equity needed to get things done. For you to get that, I mean, look at the Ibadan show, the size of the production alone. I mean, if I'm thinking in my head, if I'm having a show of Poppy and I'm asking, Jesus, the money to set up this stage alone, the money to get these things together, the level of security, the level of collaborations, just the sheer production cost of that show, even aside logistics, the sheer production cost of that show runs into possibly hundreds of millions. For you to get that, you need to have social currency, and you need to have that social currency to now command private equity, to command the big banks, the big companies to come and drop money. You need to have the A-listers like Davido. So once we have that, I think they will show up. I think there's a willingness to show up. They have done it in the past. The campus, this campus tours, this stadium tours where you see Star Plus, Tubaba, Idris Abdulkarim perform. Those guys were willing to do it, and their corporations willing to drop the money as well. So there's that, we need that. Then when we get that, we can now see, okay, where does the government come in? As it doesn't give me any joy to say this, it doesn't give me any pleasure to say this, but I think the government have not shown sufficient commitment to the development of Nigerian music entertainment. I think they want to, but I've just not seen enough. I think in terms of policy, in terms of like the legislation, there've been some positives there, like the Copyright Act and all, but in terms of like tangible contribution to the success and the revitalization of like the Nigerian tourism circuit, I've not seen a lot of development there. I think we always like to think it's better when the government leave us alone, because we don't want to be caught in the bureaucracy and have people asking ridiculous questions and using their own policies to just like stop what we have going on. I think that's the mindset for the industry. But at the same time, we need to understand that there's things we cannot achieve. There are things that the Nigerian music industry would never achieve without a proper economy and without the support of the government. That's just the truth. So recently, the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Anat Musa, said she's requested that the President Tinubu set up a 30 December task force. I think that's funny. 30 December is 1 month away, like 3 weeks away, and you're just setting up a task force. What's the task force supposed to achieve? What's the plan of the task force? And for me, this is the issues. There's no concrete plan. You're setting up a task force 3 weeks before 30 December to actually do what? To be honest, to actually achieve what? So I don't get it, and this is where we need the government to step in and support people who are trying to make things happen. There needs to be infrastructures. How about we start with infrastructures across the 6 geopolitical zones? I know there are people who are trying to do that. I know some people are trying to do that, try to build infrastructures across different zones for people to perform, and kind of like, if you're performing here, people can experience it in different parts of the country. But there's just no clear plan with this government. There's just no clear plan as to what they want to do in terms of how they want to support the creative industry, especially the Nigerian music industry. So look at that 30 December, for example. Everything that is functioning, that is happening, is more or less without governmental support. The only thing the government has come to do now is to set up a committee that we don't know what is going to happen with it. A committee that has been set up 4 weeks or 3 weeks before 30 December, and also come up with a funny tax for people coming to the country via air. Like call it something when we just know it's essentially a 30 December tax. So I think we need more governmental support in terms of infrastructure, in terms of policy, in terms of funding. Do you want to give tax holidays to people who are helping out, touring, trying to get things together? Do you want to give a bit of less like tax holidays and like maybe significant discounts to people who are trying to put up billboards for this stuff? Just something that shows goodwill, that you're supporting this industry and not just coming up with taxes and trying to come up with funny panels that I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Again, we need government to act. We don't need NDLEA pulling up with guns in nightclubs when people are having fun. These are the things that kill the creative sector. So as far as touring is concerned, we cannot have a functioning proper touring circuit without governmental support, without a viable economy, and without some sort of infrastructure. So yeah, there's that. And I think there's a full circle. I think people are coming back home. I think more artists are beginning to think, okay, maybe I should come take the money on the table, and maybe I shouldn't wait till December, maybe even off season. We could go on tour, we can make some money, and it's possible. It's not maybe attractive, but it's possible. And I think the international scene is drying up a bit, except for people who have core audience internationally, people who've honed their stagecraft and they've built like a brand identity and they can sell out venues abroad. I think on the average, it's just not happening for a lot of people right now. And it's not just a Nigerian issue. Even in the US, people are struggling to sell tickets. Shows are getting cancelled, tours are getting cancelled because there's no longer that much disposable income. So that means people need to look inward again and say, okay, this money we're leaving on the table in Nigeria, should we come get it? Should we find a way to make it work? And even within Africa as well, should we find a way to make it work? So I think it's a bit of a full circle moment, and Davido 5 Alive Nigerian tour just kind of inspires a lot of hope, a lot of belief that we could get things done on a bigger scale. And yeah, so exciting times. I'd like to see how it unfolds next year and see how many more people tour Nigeria, because that's the only way we can build a music industry that can thrive and support the future generation. And that's Facts Only.